यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। The Bhagavad Gita consists of 18 chapters and it can be broadly divided into 3 sections. Each section consisting of 6 chapters is called a Shatka. There are 3 Shakkas and every Shakkam has a different topic. Next slide please. In the first Shakka, 3 topics are highlighted. One is Jiva Swarupa, that is the nature of the Jiva. Jiva meaning the individual. The second topic of the Prathama Shakka is the importance of Karma Yoga as the sadhana. And the third topic is the role of individual effort called Prayatna. Because without effort, it is impossible to accomplish any goal in life, including moksha. In the second Shakka, that is from chapters 7 to 12, there is a shift in emphasis. In the second Shakka, also we have 3 topics discussed predominantly throughout the 6 chapters. The first topic is Ishvara Swarupa. Swarupa meaning the nature of Ishvara, nature of God. The second topic in this Dvitiya Shakka is Upasana. Upasana means meditation on Saguna Ishvara. Saguna Ishvara means Lord with attributes, Lord with a form. And this type of meditation is meant to refine and integrate the mind. And the third topic in this Shakka is Ishvara Anugraha. Ishvara Anugraha means the grace of the Lord, without which any amount of effort will remain incomplete. So in Prathama Shakka, the emphasis is on Prayatna, self-effort. Whereas in Dvitiya Shakka, there is a shift of emphasis and the emphasis is put on Ishvara Anugraha, which means that both effort and grace of the Lord must go hand in hand. The next slide please. The 7th chapter is titled Jnana Vijnana Yoga. The 7th chapter falls in this Dvitiya Shakka. Here we find 2 topics. One is Ishvara Swarupa and the other topic is Bhakti. Both these are the main themes of the 7th chapter and they are comprehensively discussed in this chapter. In the very introductory words, we find a change in emphasis. Please give me the next slide. The chapter begins with these words. And since you can see the words, you can chant along with me. This is the very first verse of chapter 7. Maya Saktamanav Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yathagnasyasi Tachrunu. So here Lord says in the very first verse, O Arjuna, with a mind which is committed to me, Mai asakta manaha yogam yunjan. You follow yoga, you follow the spiritual discipline, madashrayaha, having surrendered to me. And what will you get out of it? Asamshayam samagram mam yatha gnyasyasi tachrunu. You will come to know my nature totally, without any doubt. So in the 6th chapter, which all of you have heard, Lord Krishna had put emphasis and had said, Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadaye. One should lift one's lower self by the higher self. There Lord Krishna washes off his hands, as it were. And there Lord Krishna in the 6th chapter says, it is up to you to make or mar your life. So the whole responsibility was put on the sadhaka in the 6th chapter. Whereas in the 7th chapter, you see a shift of emphasis. In the beginning itself, Lord says, Madashrayaha yogam yunjan granam prapsyasi. Arjuna, don't think that you will be successful in life only because of your effort. My grace is also equally required. So Arjuna, take shelter in me and pursue moksha. So the shift in emphasis is, in the 6th chapter, prayatna is emphasized, whereas in the 7th chapter, Ishvara Anugraha, you understand the word? Grace of the Lord. Ishvara Anugraha is emphasized. From this we understand that both these are important. Just as a cart will move only with 2 wheels, it cannot move with 1 wheel. Similarly, the seeker also has to proceed on the path of spirituality with these 2 wheels. One is the wheel of prayatna and the other is the wheel of daivam. Daivam meaning Ishvara Anugraha. And you cannot grace, mind you cannot get the grace of the Lord unless you are ready to put in your self-effort. It is impossible. You cannot pray for Ishvara Anugraha without being ready to put in prayatna. So in the first 3 verses of the 7th chapter, Lord Krishna highlights the importance of Ishvara Anugraha in the pursuit of moksha, in the pursuit of spirituality. The next topic which is discussed in the 7th chapter is the central theme of this chapter, and that is Ishvara Swarupa. So from verse number 4 to verse number 12, we get a very important topic, not only of the 7th chapter, but of the entire Gita. What is the nature of God? What is the definition of God? And our scriptures say that the most popular definition of God is Jagat Karanam Ishvara. Lord is defined in our scriptures, the Vedic scriptures, as the cause of the universe. And when you say Ishvara is Jagat Karanam, you understand the word? Jagat Karanam means the cause of the creation, the cause of the universe. We must know what type of cause is Ishvara. Kidrisham Karanam Ishvaraha Bhavati. What type of cause is this Ishvara? And when you analyze the creation, any product, we find that there are 2 causes that are involved in the origination of the product. One is the raw material. In making any product, one cause is the raw material from which the product is made, and raw material is called in our Shastra as Upadana Karanam. But we all understand that mere raw material will not get converted into the product by itself. Bricks will not by itself get assembled and form this hall. Threads will not get intertwined with each other and form the cloth. Your cloth will not become your dress without the intervention of the tailor. Otherwise, you don't need to go to the tailor. Gold itself will not automatically become the ornaments. So we find that material, raw material itself does not become the product unless and until there is an intelligent designer who knows the purpose of the product and also has the skill to convert the raw material into the product. In short, you require another cause, and that is the intelligent cause. And the intelligent cause has to have both the knowledge as well as Shakti, the power. So the intelligent cause has to be Jnana Shaktiman, Jnana Shakti Yuktaha. Mere knowledge also is not sufficient in creating anything. You also need the skill to convert the raw material into the product. Just as the carpenter has the skill to convert wood into furniture. So that cause which converts the raw material into the product is called as intelligent cause. In Sanskrit, such a cause is called Nimitta Karana. Nimitta Karana. So now we require two causes for any creation. For creation of any product, you need these two causes. One is Upadana Karana and the other is Nimitta Karana. Upadana Karana means material. Nimitta Karana means maker. Maker minus the material. Suppose the maker is there but no material, no creation. Material minus the maker, you have the material but there is no maker, no creation. But maker plus material, only then there will be creation. If this principle is understood, then the question arises that when we say that Ishvara is Jagat Karanam, is the cause of the world, then what type of Karanam is Ishvara? Is Ishvara the intelligent cause or is Ishvara the raw material? If you say that Ishvara is intelligent cause, then what is the raw material? If you say Ishvara is Upadana Karanam, then who is the maker? All our scriptures uniformly say that prior to creation, Ishvara alone existed. Prior to our creation, this visible world, what existed? Lord alone existed. So if Ishvara is Ekaha, if Lord alone existed, the question is, was that Lord the material or the maker? And like I said, if he is the maker, then what is the material? If he is the material, then who is the maker? So the scriptures solve this problem by giving a beautiful example. In the Mundak Upanishad, we have one mantra. Yathornanapi srujate grunnatecha. What is the mantra? Yathornanapi srujate grunnatecha. Normally we find that the maker and the material are different from each other. That is our general experience. For example, your hall. The maker is different from the material. Your cloth, maker is different from the material. But the Upanishad says that there is an exception to every rule. Sometimes the maker and the material are one and the same. And the scriptural word used for that is Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana. When maker and material are one and the same, you call that as Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karana. And the scriptures give the example of a spider. Yatha Urnanabi. Urnanabi means a spider. And you find this spider creates the web. So web, spider's web is the product, it is the karyam. And who is the cause? The intelligent cause is definitely the spider. Because the spider has the skill to make the web. The spider also knows where to make the web. It will make the web only in a place where there are plenty of insects because insects are its food. So spider is the intelligent cause. But the question is, from where does our spider get the material for the web? How does it produce the material? There, within the stomach of this spider there is a peculiar gum-like substance. And the spider spins the web by producing threads out of this substance. Thus the spider not only creates, when it wants to create, it will create. When it wants to dismantle the web, it will swallow. So it also creates, it also withdraws the web, so it is also the Upadana Karanam. This spider example is given by the Upanishad. Yatha urnanabhi srujate grunnate cha. Just as the spider is both the maker and material for the web, similarly, Ishvara is both Nimitta Karanam as well as the Upadana Karanam. You said Ishvara is Jagat Karanam. Please be attentive. Didn't we say that Ishvara is the cause of the universe? And the question was, what type of cause is Ishvara? Now the conclusion from this analogy, the conclusion we arrive is that Ishvara is both the maker as well as the material. It is the intelligent cause as well as the material cause. Now what is the nature of Ishvara? The next question is, what is the nature of Ishvara? So Lord Krishna in the 7th chapter says that Lord is a mixture of two principles. Lord is a mixture of two principles, Amshadvayam. You understand? Amshadvayam, two principles. One is called Paraprakriti and the other is Aparaprakriti. You have to remember these two words all through my talk. One is Aparaprakriti and the other is Paraprakriti. That is conveyed in verse number 5, which is the most important verse of this chapter. Apareyamitastvanyam. Whenever I chant, you can also try along with me. Apareyamitastvanyam prakrutim viddhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagata. So in this verse, Lord says that one is my Paraprakruti. There are two aspects in me, there are two principles in me. One is my Paraprakruti. Paraprakruti means my higher nature. And the other is the Aparaprakriti. And Aparaprakriti means my lower nature. So this lower nature plus the higher nature, Aparaprakriti plus Paraprakriti is equal to Ishvara. The equation is well said. Now the question is, what is the difference between these two Prakritis? What is the difference between Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti? There are many differences, but we will mention just 4 differences. Please give me the next slide. The first difference is Paraprakriti is a Chetana Tattva. Although I am talking the Sanskrit term, I will give the translation. Paraprakriti is Chetana Tattva. Chetana Tattva means conscious principle. Whereas Aparaprakriti is Achetana Tattva. Both these are principles. Ishvara is a mixture, a combination of these two Prakritis, out of which one is Chetana Tattva, the Paraprakriti, and Aparaprakriti is Achetana Tattva. Achetana Tattva means Jada Tattva, the inert principle. The second difference is Paraprakriti is Nirguna Tattva. Nirguna Tattva means attributeless, free from features, free from any properties. Whereas Aparaprakriti is with attributes. It is called Saguna Tattva. Then the third difference is Paraprakriti is Nirvikara Tattva. Nirvikara Tattva means it does not undergo any modification at all. Paraprakriti. It does not undergo any change at all. Why? Because this consciousness principle of Ishvara is beyond time and space. It is not conditioned by, it is unaffected by time factor. And so it is modification less. The Sanskrit term is, it is Nirvikara Tattva. Whereas Apara Prakriti, the lower nature of Ishvara, is Savikara Tattva. It is the one which is subject to modification. It is the one which gets modified to create this universe. And the last and the most important difference is Para Prakriti is Satya Tattva. What do you mean by Satya Tattva? Para Prakriti, the higher nature of Bhagavan, is the absolute reality. It is the independent reality. Whereas Apara Prakriti is Mithya Tattva. And Mithya Tattva means that which is dependent on Para Prakriti for its existence. Mithya means dependent. So anything which is dependent on some other thing is called Mithya. Now these two put together is Ishvara. Para Prakriti plus Apara Prakriti, I have already talked about the differences. These two put together is Ishvara, and such an Ishvara alone existed prior to creation. So before the creation, we had the fundamental spirit. Fundamental spirit, don't think of any other spirit. I'm talking of consciousness. We have the fundamental spirit and the basic matter. These two were existing. Then the creation started. So how did the creation start? Lord Krishna does not give the details in the 7th chapter. He is going to give the details in the 13th chapter, which will come later. But for now, it is important for all of you to understand that it is the Apara Prakriti. When I say Apara Prakriti, you will understand it as matter principle. It is the Apara Prakriti which evolves, which manifests and which modifies itself to become the creation. It is the Apara Prakriti matter principle of Bhagavan which modifies, which evolves and manifests to become the creation. And the Upanishad also gives an order that from the Apara Prakriti, let me tell all of you that another name for Apara Prakriti is Maya. So from the Apara Prakriti of Ishvara, Upanishad says that first the element space is born. First Akasha is born. Then from space, air. From air, fire. From fire, water. From water, earth. From earth, the herbs. From herbs, food. And food, when it was taken, then it gave birth to all these sharirams. So all our bodies, some sort of an order of creation is also given in the Upanishad. In short, all the 5 elements, Panch Mahabhutas, and the elementals, everything that is born out of these 5 elements, the Bhuta and Bhautika Prapancha was created. In short, the whole world was created. Bhuta Bhautika Sarva Prapanchaha Apara Prakrutehe Utpannaha. You understand? The whole creation was born out of which aspect of the Lord? From the Apara Prakriti aspect of the Lord. So Apara Prakriti modifies and becomes everything. Hence our body, our mind, even this microphone, all these are nothing but Bhagavan's Apara Prakriti. Whatever is subject to modification in this creation, whatever is undergoing a change in this creation, that includes your body, that includes, does your mind change or not? Mind is the fastest thing in the creation which undergoes change. I am telling you, it's not a curse. It's a blessing. Just imagine this 1 hour that I am talking. If your mind does not undergo any change at all, there are some people like that. I can see them. They are stunned. If the mind does not undergo any change, you don't register anything at all. So mind has to change. Body changes. Mind changes. Even the world undergoes change. Whatever changes is called Savikara. Savikara. And Savikara Prapancha, the Savikara Prapancha is the product of Savikara Apara Prakriti of Bhagavan. I hope you are following. Savikara Prapancha, creation, is the product of Savikara Apara Prakriti. So the changing universe Everything in the universe is changing. The changing universe is a product, it is a modification of the apara prakriti aspect of the Lord. Now the question is, what happens to the para prakriti? The question itself is wrong. What happens to para prakriti? The question itself is wrong. Why? Because earlier itself I have defined that para prakriti is nirvikaraha. It is changeless. It is free from modification. So consciousness or para prakriti remains the same throughout. In the past, even in the present, and even in the future. But wherever there is apara prakriti, all the objects of the world, wherever there is apara prakriti, the inseparable para prakriti also exists. In short, every individual, all of us, we have a body-mind complex. So in every body-mind complex, there is the content of para prakriti. We are all containers. All these people sitting in front of me, we are all containers, and in each one of us, there is the content which is Bhagavan's para prakriti. Now please listen, give me the next slide please. This para prakriti, the Chetana Tattva, when it is enclosed in the body-mind complex, it gets a new name. Listen again. The original name of para prakriti is Paramatma. The original name of consciousness is Paramatma. But when that Paramatma, after creation, appears or becomes available in the enclosure of body-mind complex, it gets a new name. It's given a new name, and that name is Jivatma. So remove the enclosure. Remove the body-mind enclosure. For some time, just imagine, remove the body-mind enclosure. The unenclosed consciousness goes by the name Paramatma. Bring in the body-mind enclosure. Then this consciousness principle goes by the name Jivatma. Let us consider one example. Imagine, all of you, imagine you have a lump of clay. And the lump of clay is in space, because space alone accommodates everything. Now you are converting, all of you have to imagine, you are converting that lump of clay into a pot. So now my question is, what happens to that space? Earlier you said that clay is in space and space is all around. Now you have converted that lump of clay into pot. So my question is, what happens to space? The all-pervading space continues to exist. Nothing, no change occurs in space. But now that the pot has been created, space is available even within the enclosure of the pot. And this space which is available in the enclosure of the pot gets a new name, and that is pot space. The pot space is not a new creation, please understand. Space is the same. It did not undergo any change at all, but we changed the language. Earlier you said that clay is in space. Now clay has been converted into pot. You don't say pot is in space. Instead you say that space is within the pot also. Have you understood? You have changed the language. Space is within the pot also. So this all-pervading space, when it exists within the pot, it is called Ghatakashaha. The name alone changes. Space did not change. Space remains the space. It was there before, it is there now, it will remain even after the pot breaks, but it gets a new name, and that is pot space or Ghatakasha. Now let us compare our consciousness, para prakriti, with space. We are going to make a comparison. We are going to compare consciousness with space, and we will compare apara prakriti with a lump of clay. So this apara prakriti, just like the lump of clay shaped itself into pots, similarly apara prakriti takes the form of the creation. So what happens to consciousness? Nothing happens to consciousness. It remains nirvikaraha. It remains the same. But now now that the bodies are created, the consciousness which is available in the enclosure of the body-mind complex gets a new name. And what is the new name that is given? It is given the name of Jivatma. So when Paramatma appears in the Apara Prakriti enclosure, it gets the name Jivatma. When it is without the enclosure, then it is called Paramatma. So the original name of Paraprakriti is Paramatma. But when the same Paramatma, please give me the next slide, when the same Paramatma appears in the enclosure of Aparaprakriti, the body mind, then it gets the new name of Jivatma. Break the enclosure, Paraprakriti is Paramatma. Put the enclosure, Paraprakriti is called Jivatma. So between Jivatma and Paramatma, there is no essential difference at all. Between Jivatma and Paramatma, there is no difference at all. Both are one and the same Paraprakriti. This is Mahavakyam. Both are one and the same Paraprakriti. Therefore, Lord said in verse, no, not the next slide, that verse 5 is a very important verse. Apareyamitastvanyam prakrutim viddhi me param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagata. So this Paraprakriti, Bhagavan's Paraprakriti, the consciousness principle alone is the essential nature of all the jivas. You understand? Paraprakriti of Bhagavan is the essence, Jiva Bhutam. It is the essential nature of all the Jiva. This is the most important line of the entire Bhagavad Gita because it conveys the oneness between Jivatma and Paramatma. Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikyam. So this is the Ishvara Swarupa that is presented in the 7th chapter. Just to encapsulate, Paraprakriti plus Aparaprakriti is Ishvara, and such an Ishvara alone is Jagat Karanam, the cause of the universe. Now if you have understood this much, then the next and the most important point. You have been very attentive up till now. Please be little attentive. This is the most important point. For this, you will have to remember one important principle, one important law. And what is that law? Any product is essentially non-different from its cause. You remember the principle, the law? Any product means karyam. Any karyam is non-different from the cause, the karanam. And we experience this all the time. When you say clay creates the pots, when clay is the cause and pot is the karyam, now I can say that pots are essentially non-different from clay. When I give the example of pot and clay, you may not understand. But when I say gold and ornaments, this is easier to understand. Because when gold takes the form of karyam, the ornaments, whether it is your chain or your ring, now I can say that the ornaments are non-different from gold. You agree or disagree? If you disagree, then I will tell you, you please keep the chain. I don't want your chain. Give me the gold. Give me the gold. Is it possible? So, the pot which is karyam, I can say that it is non-different from clay. I can even say that there is no substance called the pot at all. Please listen to every point. There is no substance called pot other than clay. Pot is nothing but a name given to a particular form of clay. It's all like mathematics. If you appreciate, you appreciate. First I said that there is no pot other than clay. There is no substance called pot other than clay. Now I am saying pot is nothing but a name given to a particular form of clay, which means pot has only a nominal existence. Pot has only a verbal existence. There is no substance called pot. Then what is the substance? The substance is clay alone. There is no substance called pot. Show me the substance called pot without the clay. There is no substance called pot. It has only a verbal existence. Then what is the substance? The substance is clay. Names are many, substance is one. So if you have clay, you can make a pot, you can make a jug, you can make a lamp, you can make any amount of earthenware. Names are many, but substance is one. From this example, we understand the essential principle that all products, now listen carefully, all products are non-substantial. All products, whatever is a product, whatever comes under the category of karyam, they are all non-substantial. What do you mean by non? They are all mere names and forms. Yadyat karyam tat nama rupatmakam. Whatever falls under the category of karyam, if it is a product of something, it is then nama rupatmakam. It has only a namesake existence. So whatever is a product only has a nominal existence. It is not a substance. Then what is a substance? The substance is the karana alone. Substance is the cause alone. Now this principle we have to apply to our Lord. We said that Lord is Jagat Karanam. We said Lord is Jagat Karanam, and from this Ishvara, who is mixture of Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti, this creation has come into existence, our world has come into existence, so our creation is Karyam. Ishvara is Karanam, world or Jagat is Karyam. Now what is our principle? The entire creation is a product, and we said that product is non-substantial. Product is mere names and forms. When our scriptures say that creation is atatvikam, the whole world that you see is unreal. It comes as a shock to us in the beginning. When scriptures come and tell you that the whole world that you are experiencing is unreal, it is atatvikam, it comes as a shock to you when you listen to it for the first time. Then you will ask me, Swamini, but the world that I am experiencing is solidly real to me. How do you say that the world is unreal? Then the tangibility that I see and experience in the world, if it does not belong to the world, then who does it belong to? I am experiencing solidity. It is solidly real. The solidity belongs to whom? You have to apply the above principle. All products are non-substantial. The real substance is the cause alone. So the solidity, the tangibility, the substantiality, the reality belongs to the cause alone. Example, the solidity of the ornaments belongs to gold. You agree? The tangibility, whenever you take the chain in your hand, you are actually picking up gold. So the tangibility in the ornaments belongs to gold. The solidity of the universe belongs to Ishvara. Because Ishvara is Karanam and creation, Jagat, is only Karyam. So all the reality that we are experiencing, actually it belongs to Bhagavan. And therefore, Lord tells Arjuna, please give me the next slide. He says, whatever you are holding in this creation is mine. You say this is my body. You say this is my family. You say this is my house. This is my wealth. Lord says, oh Arjuna, whatever you are holding with Mamakara as mine, they are only manifestations of Ishvara. So in verse number 7, Lord says, Matta parataram nanyata kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana. Oh Arjuna, there is no cause superior to me. There is no cause other than me. All this is woven in me like the beads in a stream. So every day Ishvara is giving us darshan. Every day. There is no need for you to stand on one leg or even on two legs to get Ishvara Darshana. Because every moment, whatever you are experiencing is nothing but Ishvara Darshana. In fact, there is nothing in this creation other than God. There is nothing in this creation other than Ishvara. It is just like the wave doing tapas for water darshan. No, there is a wave. and it is doing tapas. Why are you doing tapas? Because I want Jala Darshanam. It is so ridiculous. It is just like the ornament. Your chain is doing tapas. Why? It wants gold darshanam. Your cloth is doing tapas because it wants fiber darshanam. In fact, you don't need to do any tapas at all for Ishwar darshanam. Every moment, whatever we are experiencing is nothing but Ishvara and Ishvara alone. And this Ishvara in the form of universe is called Vishwarupa Ishvara. It's called Virat Ishvara. You understand Vishwarupa? The one whose body is the whole universe. Ishvara is called Vishwarupa because Ishvara is one whose very body, like we all have bodies. What is Ishvara's body? The whole universe is the body of the Ishvara. We also have two eyes. Surya and Chandra, these two luminaries are the eyes of this Virata Purusha. Therefore, we don't require any new Ishvara Darshanam. Then what do we require? We only require a new attitude. We don't require new Ishvara Darshanam. We only require new attitude wherein you look upon the whole universe as Ishvara's manifestation. Right now our problem is we are not able to appreciate the whole universe, the world as Ishvara. You need to bring about a change in attitude wherein you look upon every aspect of the universe as nothing but Ishvara's manifestation. This is what is called as bringing in divinity in everything that you experience. That is what is conveyed in verse number 8. Lord Krishna says, Raso hamapsu kaunteya Prabhasmi shashi suryayoho Pranavas sarva vedeshu Shabdakhe paurusham drushu. O Arjuna, I am the taste. I am the basic taste in the water. Next time you drink water, remember these words of the Lord. It is nothing but Bhagavan's apara prakriti. It is a manifestation of Ishvara. It is not plain water. It is not H2O. It is not any chemical substance. Next time, what should be your attitude? This is Bhagavan. It is Bhagavan's manifestation. I am the taste in the water. Then Prabhasmi Shashi Surya Yoho. I am the light. Prabha means light. I am the light in the moon and the sun, the luminaries. There are innumerable mantras in the Vedas. And the essence of all the mantras is the Pranava mantra, the Omkara. And so Lord says, I am Om in all the Vedas. I am the sound in space, Shabdakhe and Paurusham Drushu. I am the strength in all the human beings. He says, Balam Balavatam Asmi Kamaraga Vivarjitam. Everything has divinity. Can you appreciate this? It is such a lofty attitude. This is our tradition. The Vedic tradition says that there is divinity in everything. In whatever you experience, you should learn to appreciate the presence of Ishvara. And this is what is called as divinization of the universe. Wherever I see matter, wherever you see inert objects, it is Ishvara's apara prakriti. Now that you have understood these two terms, wherever you see that this iPad or the microphone, all these are inert objects. The desk, the chair on which you are seated, it is Bhagavan's apara prakriti. And wherever you see sentient beings, wherever you see consciousness, you learn to appreciate it as the para prakriti of Ishvara. Analyze your own body. Analyze your own body. What is present in the body? There is matter and there is consciousness. Consciousness meaning there is sentiency. That is why whatever is being spoken by me, you are able to understand. Why? The chair is not able to understand. The desk will not understand. This iPad may have all the words, but it does not understand. But you understand. Why? Because there is one matter aspect in you, and matter aspect meaning the body, mind, sense organs, all that is the Bhagavan's apara prakriti aspect. There is also sentiency in you, and that is the para prakriti of the Lord. There is nothing in this creation other than these two. If you have this vision, where is the problem of samsara? If you have this vision, once you acquire this vision, where is the problem of samsara? There is no samsara at all. All our emotional problems are because we are not able to appreciate the manifestation of Ishvara in this world. And so we divide the world into this I like, this I strongly dislike. But the moment you acquire this vision, all problems will end. There is no samsara at all. So up to verse number 12, right from verse number 4 to verse number 12 of the 7th chapter, Lord talks about Ishvara in the 7th chapter as Jagat Karanam. Jagat Karanam. And the next topic, I told you that 7th chapter has two main themes. You remember? One is Ishvara Swarupam, nature of Ishvara. That we have already talked about. And the next important topic is the topic of Bhakti. The topic of Bhakti. Because now that we have understood that there is nothing in this universe other than Ishvara, then a doubt can arise that if everything, the whole creation is the manifestation of Ishvara, it is the form of Ishvara, then why is it that we experience so much of disparity? Why is it that there is so much of suffering? Why is it that there is so much of sorrow? Why is it that there is so much of frustration? Samsarasya karanam kim? If everything is Ishvara, why is it that I am not able to appreciate the presence of Ishvara in everyone? Why do I suffer from this problem of inadequacy, insufficiency, apurnatvam? Why do I experience dukkham? So, samsarasya karanam kim? This diagnosis is very important. Before you talk of the treatment, you must be able to diagnose the problem. We are all suffering from the problem of samsara. And samsara simply, if I put it, it means all types of emotional problems. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, Manitvam, Dambitvam, all these are problems of the mind. Why is it that we are experiencing, if all of us are Ishvara, then why is that there is so much of disparity in the creation? Why are we not able to appreciate the presence of Lord everywhere, seeing God everywhere? Why is it that we all don't have the same vision? So Lord diagnoses the problem for us. It is very important. Even when you go, you get a disease, it is important to diagnose before you start taking the treatment. You can't start popping all the pills even without diagnosis. That is why you go to a competent, qualified doctor, and after the diagnosis, the treatment comes. So in the next slide, in verse number 13, which is another important verse of the 7th chapter, Lord is diagnosing the problem of samsara. Samsarasya karanam kim? What is the cause of the bondage that we are all experiencing? And he says, Tribir gunamayair bhavaihi ebhis sarvamidam jagat mohitam nabhijanati mamebhyah paramavyayam. So what is the diagnosis? Lord Krishna is saying that everybody is deluded. Everybody is under the influence of ignorance. Under the intoxication, under the influence of ignorance, mohitam. Mohitam means everybody is deluded. Na abhijanati. They don't know my real nature. They don't know my higher nature. What is the higher nature? Parapakru prakriti. They don't know my paraprakriti, and my paraprakriti is the changeless principle. And they are so engrossed in my lower nature, that is aparaprakriti. So paraprakriti, ignorance is the cause of our samsara. Earlier also I told you, when I gave you the differences, paraprakriti is nirgunam. Nirgunam means it does not have any features. It does not have any attributes. So it is not visible. Paraprakriti, the Chetana Tattvam, consciousness aspect of Lord, is not visible. It is not even attractive because it does not have any gunas. Whereas Aparaprakriti is full of gunas. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. And all the changes that we experience in the creation, whether it is beautiful sunrise or it is sunset, everything is nothing but the apara prakriti aspect of the Lord. So all the time, apara prakriti of Ishvara alone is drawing our attention. And we are so enamored by the kaleidoscopically changing variety of apara prakriti that we lose sight of para prakriti. This is the diagnosis. We have lost sight of para prakriti. This is exactly like going to a movie and getting so engrossed and getting lost in the movie that you lose sight of the screen. Actually, screen is the only reality. Movie is only a projection. Movie, even before the movie was projected, screen was. After the movie ends, screen will remain. So screen alone is substantial. What is the movie? Movie is non-substantial. But we get so lost in the movie that movie moves us. Movayati iti movie. We get moved by the movie. So if the hero is unhappy, we become unhappy. If the hero is happy, we become happy. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, people get lost in my apara prakriti. People are lost in my apara prakriti, and when you get lost in the apara prakriti of Ishvara, then there is a problem of insecurity. When you get so engrossed in apara prakriti, you think you are this body, mind, sense complex. And this body, mind, sense complex is finite, it is limited. So you suffer from problem of inadequacy, apurnatvam. So then you have any number of desires. And to fulfill those desires, now you will have to do action. And when you do action, it will lead to phalam, it will lead to result. And so, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam. So the problem that is conveyed by Lord to Arjuna is people get lost in the apara prakriti, and so the problem of insecurity arises. But Swamini, we all enjoy change. Do we not? We like variety. There's nothing wrong in enjoying change. But then you must remember that human mind also needs something secure to hold on to. Even for you to appreciate change, there must be something which is permanent, something which is secure. We all want security, and security can come only from a permanent thing. Security can come only from a permanent thing. But when you lose sight of the permanent para prakriti and get engrossed in the impermanent apara prakriti, you lose balance, and that becomes the cause for your samsara. It's just like holding on to crutches. You know, you are walking with the crutches, but the crutch itself slips. Then you also will fall. So, whether you are holding on to the apara prakriti called money, or whether it is apara prakriti in the form of status, or whether it is apara prakriti in the form of all relationships, whatever you hold on to for your happiness, for your security, if you are holding on to the impermanent apara prakriti, take it from me, insecurity is inevitable. Samsara is inevitable. Then, Swamini, you are telling us we should throw away apara prakriti? If apara prakriti is not going to give me security, true happiness, should I just throw away the whole world, the apara prakriti? I am not saying that. Apara prakriti is for our enjoyment. But the skill is, hold on to para prakriti, take the support of the para prakriti of Ishvara and play in apara prakriti. Then life will become enjoyable. Life will become a sport. So the essence is, now for all of you, you can move in this world. You can enjoy the variety that is there in this world. You can love everyone. You can have all transactions. But the scriptures say, don't depend upon any apara prakriti for your security. Don't depend upon any object of the world for your happiness. Then what if I want security and happiness? All that can be got from the higher nature of the Lord. All that you take the support from the para prakriti aspect of it. It is just like having a generator set. You know, when there is no power supply through the electricity board. Suppose you have a UPS, you know, uninterrupted power supply. If you have a UPS or a generator set, even if there is no power supply from the electricity board, it does not affect you. Similarly, Lord says, Mohitam nabhijanati. People are deluded. They are so enamored by this variety caused by apara prakriti that they fail to take my support, the para prakriti. I am asking all of you a question. You know, this apara prakriti is like a swimming pool. Now, entering the swimming pool is enjoyable or is it frightening? Please answer. No, now we are friends. I've been talking for 1 hour. This entering the swimming pool, is it enjoyable or is it frightening? You don't answer. You should ask me a counter question. Swamini, this question is for whom? Swimming pool, is it enjoyable or frightening? For the one who knows how to swim, it is enjoyable. And for the one who does not know how to swim, it can even become a graveyard. It is frightening. So, apara prakriti is like a swimming pool. If you have held on to the support, you know, when you go to Haridwar and you want to have a dip in river Ganga, the flow, you know, is so tremendous you can get carried away. But you know, they have in Har Ki Pauri, you see, they have a chain. And if you are holding on to the chain, you can dip, have any number of dip, and still you are not afraid of getting carried away. Similarly here, apara prakriti is like a swimming pool. But if you have held on to para prakriti, then you can enjoy interaction with apara prakriti. But if you have not had taken the support of para prakriti, then life can become miserable. Life can become difficult. That is conveyed in the next thing, that is verse number 14. Lord Krishna says, Daivi yesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante maya me tam taranti te. Those who take my support, Maam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam taranti te. Those who take my support, they can cross this maya, no problem. Taranti has 2 meanings, to swim and to cross. Ye maam prapadyante. Those who have knowledge of my para prakriti, they can easily swim, efficiently swim in this apara prakriti called this samsara. Then life will be like a beautiful garden with lovely flowers. Sampurnam Jagadeva Nandananam Vanam. For whom? For those who have the knowledge of para prakriti. So if you have para prakriti swimming knowledge, then life is a enjoyable thing. But if you don't have this para prakriti swimming knowledge, life can be lokam shoka hatam cha samastam. It can be miserable. So the difference is caused by this one slide. Para prakriti knowledge frees you. Please see this. Para prakriti knowledge, no, not this, the next one. Para prakriti knowledge frees you. And para prakriti ignorance freezes you to death. One frees you and the other freezes you to death. So Lord has now completed the diagnosis. What is the diagnosis? Have you understood? Ajnanam eva samsarasya karanam. Ajnanam eva samsarasya karanam. Self-ignorance is the cause of our samsaram. This is the diagnosis of the problem done in the 7th chapter. So then what is the treatment? We'll talk about the treatment after the break. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. It was diagnosed that ignorance of para prakriti is the cause of samsara. And we came to the conclusion from the previous session that para prakriti knowledge leads to moksha, freedom. Freedom from all types of dependencies. Para prakriti ignorance is the cause of samsara. Ajnanam eva samsarasya karanam. Since the problem has been diagnosed, so now the question is, what is the treatment? If Paraprakriti knowledge is liberating, then what is the means to know Paraprakriti? How do I know Paraprakriti? Lord Krishna presents bhakti as the means to knowledge of Paraprakriti. And bhakti, what is the meaning of the word bhakti? Bhakti means love of the Lord. In Narada Sutra, Bhakti Sutra, Bhakti is defined as Sa tu asmin paramatmani Ishvare parama prema rupa. Supreme love for the Lord is called bhakti. That is devotion. The next question is, Swamini, if bhakti is the means to knowledge, which form of the Lord should we worship? Is Rama Bhakti superior, or is Krishna Bhakti superior, or is Shiva Bhakti, Devi Bhakti, Ganesha Bhakti? Lord Krishna clarifies here that any form can be worshipped to express our devotion. We can express our devotion by worshipping any form, because all forms are nothing but the manifestation of Ishvara. So we can choose any particular form, and every form will represent Ishvara. There is no form which is superior and there is no form which is inferior. You can choose any form that you like and you worship. That is conveyed in the 21st verse of the 7th chapter. Lord says, Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha Shraddhayarchitum ichchati tasya chalam shraddham tameva vidadhamyaham. O Arjuna, whoever be the devotee and whichever form of deity he wishes to worship with faith, I make that faith firm for him. So we can choose any, we can invoke the Ishvara, the total Ishvara in any form. It can be Shiva form, it can be Vishnu form, it can be any form. It is purely for our convenience. Because it is difficult in the beginning for the intellect to conceptualize the totality. You cannot comprehend the totality, total Ishvara initially. So we need some alambanam. We need some support. If I have to worship my country, how do I offer flowers to the country? So then I represent the country with a flag. National flag symbolizes the country, and now I can offer flowers to the flag which represents the country. If the national flag can represent the country, God can be represented by anything in the creation. Please listen to this carefully. God can be represented by anything in the creation, and that is why in our culture we have the worship of different aspects of the Lord. We in our culture can worship even inert things like the sun, the moon, the river, the mountain. We worship. We can worship a tree like the Ashwatha Vriksha. We can worship a plant. We worship the Tulsi plant. We even worship an animal. We worship the cow. We worship human beings. Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava. Even Guru is worshipped. Human beings are worshipped. People say that our religion is confusing. Other people, they say our religion is confusing because there are many gods. It is not true. We don't have many gods. Please understand. You youngsters need to understand this very clearly. People have accused us that our religion is confusing because we have many gods. We don't say we have many gods, there is only one God. But that one God can be represented by many alambanas. That one God can be represented by different names and forms. We do not say we have many gods. We do not even say we have one God. We say we have only God. Please remember this. We don't say we have many gods. We don't even say we have one God. When you say we have one God, then that you will imagine that one God is seated somewhere else in the heaven and you are different from that God. And then that God does not include you, which means that your power is not included in that God's power, so then God cannot be called almighty. God might be like your mighty uncle, but God cannot be called almighty. Why? Because God also will be subject to limitation. When you say we have only one God, you will imagine that the God is elsewhere, then that God also will be subject to limitation. God will be mighty like the president of US, but even the president is limited. So we don't say there is one God. What do we say? There is only God. You understand? There is only God. And that only God can be invoked in any name and form. And we invoke that only God in various names and forms. This is the vision of Ishvara in our culture. And devotion to one does not mean hatred to another form. Just because you practice devotion to one particular form, it does not mean that you have to hate the other form. So we accept all forms. We accept all types of bhakti. Therefore, bhakti towards Ishvara in any form is accepted by our tradition. We may invoke Lord in a limited form, but then we have the understanding. We people, Vaidikas, we have the understanding that I am not worshipping a limited entity, but through that limited alambana, I am invoking the Lord who is limitless. So the symbol that we adopt may be limited. You will use a small Shivalinga. Does that mean that Lord Shiva is small? You are worshipping Lord Vishnu through a Shaligrama which may be 3 inches. Does that mean that Lord Vishnu is 3 inches? In fact, the word Vishnu itself means Vyapakatvat. Vishnu itself means all pervading. So bhakti, please understand, bhakti is the worship of Ishvara in totality. Bhakti is the worship of Ishvara in totality. When I say totality, the para and the apara prakriti in any particular form. Lord Krishna talks about bhakti in the 7th chapter and he presents various stages. And everybody has to go through all the stages of bhakti. For the sake of convenience, we will divide bhakti into 3 stages. And the first stage of bhakti, please listen carefully, bhakti has been divided into 3 stages for the sake of convenience. And the first stage of bhakti is called Sakama Bhakti. You can very well understand the word. Sakama Bhakti, wherein one worships Ishvara to get various things in one's life. Either it can be Sukha Prapti or Dukha Nivrutti. Either you want to acquire something or you want to get rid of something. But when you worship Ishvara, because you want to get things done in life. So when you are worshipping Lord for the sake of desired results, it is called Sakama Bhakti. I call it business bhakti. Because we strike a deal with the Lord. We make a contract with the Lord. You give me this and I will offer you a coconut. You give me this and I will do Anga Pradakshina. Or I will do Tula Bhara. You give me this and I will tonsure my head. I am not criticizing. Here in Sakama Bhakti, Lord is not the end. We are not interested in the Lord. We are interested in worldly things. So we are making use of Lord as a means to accomplishing those desirable results. In Sakama Bhakti, Ishvara is used as a sadhana and worldly things is our sadhya. Sadhya meaning the goal. The Lord is the means and the world is the end. And let me ask you a question. Of the means and the end, what do you love better? You get into a crowded train not because you love the train. The train is only the means to bring you to this college. So of the means and the end, the love is always for the end. So here in Sakama Bhakti, the Bhakta does not have love for Ishvara, Even when we were children, God was presented to us by our parents by saying, if you do namaskara before you go for the examination, you will get better marks. So now Ishvara is introduced in the beginning. Ishvara is introduced for passing examinations or for any such other problem. Lord says, Sakama Bhakti is alright, perfectly alright. It is not a Papa Karma, it is not a Nishiddha Karma. Everybody has to begin Bhakti at this stage, in this manner. So instead of falling at the feet of mundane people, it is better you fall at the feet of Ishvara and do Sakama Bhakti for getting something. So please show me the next slide. Lord says, Sartaya Shraddhaya Yuktaha Tasya Radhanamihate Labhate Chatata Kaman Mayaiva Vihitan Hitan. Lord says that Sartaya Shraddhaya Yuktaha, he who endowed with Shraddha, Tasya Aradhanam Ihate, engages in worship of any deity. What do? That I give them the objects of desire through those deities. So Lord Krishna clarifies here that I give them the desirable objects. But how does he give? Through whichever deity the devotee has worshipped. So he blesses a Ganesha devotee through Ganesha. He blesses a Krishna Bhakta through Krishna form. He blesses a Shiva Bhakta through Shiva form, and a Devi Bhakta through Devi form, and a Guru Bhakta through Guru form. These are all types of worships which are accepted. It is called Sakama Bhakti. Please show me the next slide. Lord Krishna divides Sakama Bhaktas into two types in the 7th chapter, and he says there are two types of Sakama Bhaktas. One is an Artha Bhakta and the other is Artharthi Bhakta. Artha Bhakta is a Sakama Bhakta. You understand the word Sakama Bhakta. Artha Bhakta is a Sakama Bhakta who wants to get rid of troubles and will remember the Lord only when there are troubles in life. Dukha mein sumiran sab kare, sukh mein kare na koi. This is the Artha Bhakta. Whenever there are difficulties, oh Lord, you are great, please get me out of difficulty. This is an Artha Bhakta. And who is the Artharthi Bhakta? Artharthi Bhakta is also a Sakama Bhakta who wants to acquire something. So one is for pravrutti, for acquisition, and the other is for nivrutti. Both are Sakama Bhaktas only. Gradually, by doing this Sakama Bhakti, what happens is unknowingly your mind becomes mature. Gradually, when you practice Sakama Bhakti, unknowingly your mind becomes mature. And what is the sign of maturity? The sign of maturity is you come to understand that all Sakama karmas will only give finite results. The sign of maturity, paripakvata, is you come to understand that Sakama karmas will only give me finite result. That is said in the next shloka. Please give me the next slide. Verse number 23. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavatyalpamedhasam devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. So Sakama Bhakti helps you to slowly recognize that by acquiring worldly things, it is not going to make my life any better. Because worldly things are themselves antavattu. Antavattu. What is antavat? Antavat means perishable. That means they are themselves insecure. And one insecure person getting married to another insecure person, both become insecure. Previously you were worried only about your security. Now after marriage you have to worry about the wife's security and then the children's security. Previously worried about myself, now worried about two or more people. So insecurity plus insecurity can never become security. To understand this, it may take years, it may even take decades, it may take janmas. Fortunately, in our tradition, we accept many janmas. In all other religions, they have to do everything in one short life. Whereas for us, we can do in installments. If you fail in this janma, you have the next janma, like your CA examination. You can do it in Aneka Janma Samsiddhaha Tato Yati Param Gatim. But once I know that world is not a worthy end, the maturity, the sign of maturity is I come to recognize that any worldly accomplishment is not a worthy end. Why? Because it is subject to change. It will change. Now the focus changes. Now I am interested in something permanent. And so my attention is turned towards Lord as the goal of life. Earlier, Lord was the means, world was the end. Now in the second stage of bhakti, what happens? I make Lord the end and the world becomes the means. So Ishvara now becomes the sadhya and world and its activities becomes the sadhana. That is why, please listen, family life is in our tradition is called grihastha ashrama. Why? Because family life, ashrama itself means it is meant for spiritual growth. Family life is called grihastha ashrama because family life is not an end in itself. Getting married is not the goal of our human existence. It is only an intermediary stage. Why? Because through that, what you are intending is the attainment of something higher. So in the second stage of bhakti, world is the means and God becomes the end. As against Sakam Bhakti, that was the first stage. There I said God is the means and world is the end. Now God has become Sadhya. In second stage of Bhakti, God has become Sadhya and this type of Bhakti is called Apekshika Nishkama Bhakti. What was the first stage? Sakama Bhakti. Now this is Apekshika. Apekshika means relative desirelessness. Apekshika, Nishkama. Nishkama means desireless. So Apekshika means it's a relative desireless devotion. So in the second stage, partially the devotee is free from desires. No more interested in any worldly goals. Because understand that every worldly goal is antavat. Antavat. Therefore now, with regard to worldly goals, the bhakta is Nishkama. But not totally Nishkama because now wants to attain Ishvara. And so, with regard to Ishvara, the devotee is still not completely desireless. So, second stage is called Apekshika Nishkama Bhakti. In the 7th chapter, Lord Krishna calls it as Jignasu Bhakti. This Apekshika Bhakti is called Jignasu Bhakti. So, I talked of two types of bhaktas earlier. Artha Bhakta, Artharthi Bhakta, and the third type of Bhakta is the Jignasu Bhakta. And now coming to the third stage of Bhakti, the third stage of Bhakti is the highest form of Bhakti wherein a person has discovered the Lord to be non-different from one's own self. Now there is no I separate from the Lord. Lord is not different because Lord alone exists. And in that form of Bhakti, there is no I which is separate from the Lord. Lord is not away from me. Just as Mahakasha means total space, is not away from Ghatakasha. I gave you the example. Similarly, now this highest devotee discovers that Lord is my higher self, so there is nothing more remaining for me to accomplish. And so this level or stage of bhakti is called Nirapeksha or Atyantika Nishkama Bhakti. Earlier one was Apekshika, this is Atyantika Nishkama Bhakti. Atyantika means absolute Nishkama Bhakti. This bhakta now is totally desireless. Does not have desire for any worldly accomplishment, not even the desire for God, has become completely desireless, and this is what is called as Purnatvam. And that is what is conveyed in verse number 23. Devan Devayajo, I don't know. It's the same thing. Devan Devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi madbhakta mam yanti. So my devotee, the Lord says, attains me. Attains me here means attains moksha. In short, moksha is attained through bhakti in 3 stages. And all the 3 stages are beautifully explained in the 7th chapter. The first stage of bhakti is sakama bhakti. The second stage of bhakti is apekshika nishkama bhakti, which you can call it as jignasu bhakti. And the third is atyantika nishkama bhakti. And this atyantika nishkama bhakti is jnani bhakti. Atyantika nishkama bhakti is equal to jnanam. And therefore Lord makes a very important statement. Please give me the next slide. Jnani alone is the greatest bhakta. It's a very important line of the Lord. He says, Tesham jnani nitya yuktaha eka bhaktir vishishyate priyo hi jnani notyartham aham sachamam apriyaha. So the Lord says that the jnani bhakta, the one who is in the 3rd stage of bhakti, he is the greatest and he is very much dear to me, and I am also very much dear to him. Why? Because the Jnani Bhakta does not see any distance, any difference between the Lord and one's own self. People think that Bhakti is different and Jnanam is different. And they think that Jnanis do not have any Bhakti at all. Very often people think that I follow the Bhakti Marga. And they think that Jnanis don't have any emotion, they don't have any bhakti, they don't have any love, they only follow the dry path. People tell us also, you people follow Shushka Jnanam, dry path. We are Bhakti Margis. All this is taught only by ignorant people. Here Lord has clarified in the 7th chapter that Jnani alone is the highest bhakta, and through this bhakti, otherwise called Jnana, a person attains liberation called moksha. And therefore Arjuna, follow all the 3 stages of bhakti. You remember the 3 stages? Sakama bhakti, apekshika nishkama bhakti and atyantika nishkama bhakti. Or you can say sakama bhakti, that is artha and artharthi bhakti. Then apekshika is jignasu bhakti and atyantika nishkama bhakti is jnani bhakti. Follow all the 3 stages of bhakti and be free from the problem of samsara. So Lord Krishna concludes the 7th chapter. And the 7th chapter has the title Jnana Vijnana Yogaha. Now Jnana indicates the stage where Ishvara is seen as different from one's own self. So Jnanam here means Paroksha Jnanam. It is indirect knowledge of Ishvara, and Vijnanam is wherein one sees Ishvara as one's own self, the highest form of bhakti, and so that is aparoksha jnanam, it is direct knowledge. Since jnanam and vijnanam both are talked about in this chapter, the 7th chapter gets the title Jnana Vijnana Yogaha. So this is the essence of the entire chapter. It's a complete chapter. It's a beautiful chapter where our fundamental problem of human beings is also diagnosed, and also the means to get over the problem and to get rid of the problem of samsara, that also has been presented in the form of the stages of bhakti. And finally, the conclusion also is beautifully presented. In the time that was available to me, I've tried to give you the summary of the entire chapter. I hope, because my whole intention is, I think that you are very fortunate. All of you, because first of all I must congratulate the organizers and those people who have visualized this program. Because Bhagavad Gita is one text which everybody, leave alone we Vaidikas alone, every human being needs to understand this teaching. Because it is the manual of life. It has got nothing to do with any specific religion. You understood, everybody faces the problem of samsara, and the means is presented so beautifully in the text. There is no scripture anywhere in the world which can even go anywhere near Bhagavad Gita. And if we people don't understand the text in its proper context, in its proper perspective, who else will? And I think that all of you are very, very fortunate. I was told by Mahesh Bhai that out of several courses which were available to you as options, all of you seated in front of me, you have opted for Bhagavad Gita for whatever reasons. I don't know the reason. Fortunately, I can't read your mind, so I could continue talking, whether you understood, you did not understand. But I must tell you one thing. I've been telling others also that the discipline and that I sense in this hall every time I come, in this group of people, that is very, very rare to see, particularly in the present colleges. So I congratulate all of you, and I hope that all of you will pursue the study of Bhagavad Gita and benefit and make your life a fulfilled one. Hari.